Hi everybody, welcome to my Corona classes. So I'll be doing online lessons. It's a bit hard to talk with the mask on, so I'll just take it off. That's a bit better, I can breathe now. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the on-site guide and how to use Appendix E for the conduit space factor. Okay, so Appendix E starts like this. It explains out that the main purpose that we carry out these calculations is to make sure that it's easy to draw the cables in and there's no damage. The front page is quite good. It's like an idiot's guide, so even I can understand it. And you'll see at the bottom there, it tells you exactly which tables you need to use. So there they are. And it's quite a helpful guide in that respect. So the first two sets of tables, okay, these ones, and they're tables E1 and E2, and basically they're to work out the size of your cable, okay, which is a factor, and then to match the number that you get up with the sizes of conduits. Now, the number on the size of conduits needs to be equal to or greater than the calculated number of cables. Okay, there's more help on that in the slideshows and handouts, so please check those out. Okay, so that's tables E1 and E2. What you'll need to check on there as well is it's also telling you about solid cables up to 2.5 or stranded cables from from 1 mil upwards. Okay, so that's an important thing to take into account. There are no other factors to worry about. Okay, not on that one. And then table E3, this is for runs of conduit that are 3 meters of or more, or have bends in them. So on this one, you can see there it's got the cable sizes. It doesn't matter whether they're solid or stranded, so they're just treated all the same. And again, you've got your sizes of cables with the relevant factors here. Okay, so once you worked out how many cables you've got, you multiply that number by the factor next to the size of the cables, add those all together, and then you can turn to table E4. Now, E4 is a little bit tricky. It looks like that. I would suggest that for the different sizes of conduit that you've got, that you actually draw some lines in. So I'll just do some of that now to give you a quick tip. Okay, so you can see now I've drawn lines in, and they're just for the different sizes of conduit depending on how many bends there are. So for example, here we've got 1 bend, 2 bends, 3 bends, that's missing, you might want to write that in, and then 4 bends. Although you can use 4 bends, I'd recommend from experience, it's really tough pulling the cables in, so I'd avoid using 4 bends wherever possible. Okay, so that's a really important thing. You can of course put in conduit boxes or adaptable boxes as what we call drawing in points to pull out the cables there and then push them back down longer lengths of conduit, but please avoid those if you can. I've often found that anything more than 3 bends is a real struggle to do, and if it's tough for you to pull them in, then it's going to be really hard on the cables, and they could get damaged, especially friction damage on bends, so that's something to be really careful of. The thing to note here is this section here, which is referring you to tables E1 and E2 for short straight runs of conduit that are less than 3 meters. So you refer to those tables for that one, so that's why they're not there. So basically you've got the length of run along the side here, you've got the size of conduit along the top here, and then the amount of bends. So as I've already showed you, you've got 1 bend, 2 bends, 3 bends, which is missing, typo thanks to the IET. So relatively easy to use. If you've worked out a factor, say along this row, You just follow it along till you find the number that's equal to or greater than the total factor that you've got. Then in that section, say it was only one bend, get to that number, follow it up, and that will give you the size of conduit that you need. Okay, and I would say to you, if you're just on the edge of a size of conduit, maybe go to the next size up, bearing in mind that in future people might want to add more circuits and draw more cables in. If you haven't allowed for that, then it won't happen. Okay, so that's something to think about. So think about, what if I had to go back to this job to actually put some more circuits in? So think about it like that. Finally, we've got tables E5 and E6, and they're solely for working out sizes of space factor for trunking. Okay, so table E5 is your cable factors, and you can see here that what we've got is a differentiation between thermosetting cables and PVC cables. So read your questions carefully. If you get one of those, make sure that you're using the correct table, because the factor changes for each of them. So if there is no information, assume it's a PVC thermoplastic cable, unless it specifies that it's a thermosetting one. Again, here we go back to a differentiation between solid cables and stranded cables. So again, make sure you're reading the question carefully. Then for table E6, you just use that in much the same way. It tells you your trunking size factor here, work out the size that you need, then follow along to the left of the page, and that will tell you your size of conduit. Now you may find on there that there'll be two sizes of conduit that are pretty close together, so it's up to you which one you pick. It depends on whether you want a cable that's sticking out from the wall a bit, or whether you want it to be flatter into the wall. So that's a matter of design choice or personal choice. So that's something to think about. But have a go at the handout, look at the question paper, have a little bit of a go at that. I'll also be putting some questions online. Okay, so they'll be in the form of a quiz, and they'll be self-marking, but I'll be able to check them out. I'm also going to try and put something online to make sure that you can ask me questions, and maybe we can speak about anything that you're not sure about. But space factor is really important. Again, just to recap, it's in Appendix E, so just turn to that. I'm going to be my usual annoying self and not tell you the page, because I want you to get to know how to use the book. So Appendix E, Idiot's Guide down the front, and then it tells you which tables you need to go to depending on whether it's a short straight run of conduit for less than 3 meters, whether it's any length of conduit above 3 meters, or any lengths of conduit that have bends in it, and then tables E5 and E6, sorry, E4 and E5, those tables for actually working out your conduit. So space factor is really important. The space factor for cables is 45%. So no more than 45% of the conduit can be actually taken up by cables, which means that 55% of the conduit or trunking must be air. Now, when you draw cables in, it may not look like they're only taking up less than half of the space, but when you bear in mind that the cables are circular, there'll be gaps of air in between the cables as well. So that accounts for the space factor. The numbers in here, someone else worked those out for you so that you don't have to. It's a bit like when you go into a shop, you don't say ordering a pair of shoes and say, well, my foot is, say, 10 inches long. You ask for a size 10 or a 42 shoe. So the factors are designed in the same sort of way. So I hope that helps you understand it a bit better. Good luck with the work and the worksheets, and I'll check in again with you later. Bye.